by keeping it small and fun, then what you do is you can keep the sustainability. You can
Yeah.
keep doing it and keep carrying on doing it, and you get enjoyment, and it just builds up. You can always add more if you want to. But
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the NuOceans podcast. This is Flavio, your host today, and I am with Paul. I am really excited to have him here with us, and he is a ardent practitioner of the sport, if you want to call it that way, plogging, which is essentially cleaning up stuff as you go running, swimming, or biking, and making a difference really in a very small, simple way, doing something that he loves. So his mission is to show people how easy it is to contribute, even doing something that you love on a daily basis. And he's been doing that for quite a few years now, ran the 100 miles in a week in his 50s, even though he failed doing that 10 years earlier. And yeah, I think that's all really exciting stuff. And we all want to know why you got into this, how you did it, and learn a bit more about yourself.
You've read up on me. You've read my bio.
Yes, of course I have.
Yeah, my name's Paul. I'm 53 years old, so yeah, I'm sort of getting on in years, and but running has always been a passion of mine. So I've been running since I was the age of 13, so kind of 4 decades into running now. And then what I've done is they were always separate items. So the picking up litter is something I did occasionally. It was sort of just something you do every now and then. If you see just something that everyone does, or I hope that a lot of people do. And then it really sort of gained momentum in 2011, and I was just running back and forth to a train station to go to work. I was working in London at that time, and I just noticed the beautiful countryside hedgeways that were just so much trash in them, fast food waste, or bottles, cans, beer, you name it. It's just thrown in the hedges. And so I started picking them up in sort of 2011, and then it just sort of rippled. It just gained momentum. And then last year, at the beginning of last year, I made a commitment that every time I go running, I will pick up at least one piece of litter. So then that makes that act of running that I'm doing, every time I go for a run, I'm helping the environment by picking up a piece of litter. And all I try and do is show on my Instagram account and sort of social media that how easy it is to do. So I sort of just document that every day where I've picked up, etc., and just combine it with the running. So I mean, I run every day. I run around 4,000 kilometers a year, and so. Wow. Before COVID, before the sort of the situation we're in now, just from those running during the week, I was picking up around 100 kilos of trash just off the streets every month.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's shaming me. When I walk my dog, I pick up some stuff as well, because I think, it's same thing as you, really. Walking around, I lived in London until fairly recently, and it was just on the side, as you mentioned, especially along the railroad, so much wrapping, beer cans, so many beer cans. When you know how easy they are to recycle, it's just really sad.
Oh gosh.
And so I used to pick that up. Well, I'm not in London anymore, but I still pick up stuff now, walking my dog mostly, because I don't run much. I'm more of a swimmer. That's my big sport.
Yeah, I made a commitment on Strava. I don't know if you know Strava, but it's sort of a social media platform for people who sport. So I made the commitment as every time I do something on Strava, then I have to pick up something. So that's usually running. But if I go for a bike ride, I would do it. Yeah. If I go for a walk and I put it on Strava, I'll do it. And if I go for a swim, I even do it. So just getting to the swimming pool, I'll pick up some trash on the way to the swimming pool, something along those lines. And it's just for the people watching this. I don't do it to think that people have to do as much as I do. It's like you did, just picking up a little bit. That's actually the most important thing. Just that first piece makes the difference.
Yeah. And what is it? So obviously you mentioned you've been running for quite a few years, and then you decided to start doing that. But why, what was if there was one moment that made you realize, this is something I can do and I should be doing it, and kind of give you that push to start cleaning up every single time you go running?
Yeah, so like I said, in 2011, when I was going to the train station, that was when it really hit me. And there was, a lot of the time you see these plastic bags. This was, this was before the time of the 5p on the bag. So you'd see all these bags on the side of the road. So it wasn't a case of I had to take my own stuff. I just sort of got a bag from the hedge, filled it up, and then because it was quite a quiet country lane, I shouldn't really admit to this, but I had nowhere. I didn't have a bin to put it in. So what I did was I ran past a nursery, sort of just a garden centre, and I thought, oh, I'll leave it by them. So every week they would get these bags. I'd come into work the next morning and see this bag of litter by them. So I hope they put them in the bin. But yeah, so that's where it started. But then it really gained momentum, like I say, last year when I said, okay, no, I enjoy it so much and I want to make a difference and inspire people to do it. So that's when last year I said, every time I have to do it.
Cool. Yeah. So that's really, that leads on well with the next question, which is, what would be then, because you said you started that to show people and inspire them, then what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for someone who wants to be more sustainable in their day-to-day life?
I thought about this question, so I got my answer prepared. So
Great.
so I could do 1, 2, 3. So the first thing is start small. So don't think that you have to change the world. The fact that you pick up, like you do with your dog walking, etc., just picking up one piece, that makes a difference already. You've already do it. Start small. And the second thing is keep it fun. So if you keep it small, if you keep it fun, and don't put stress on yourself, don't put a sort of, oh, I've got to do this, or I've got to pick up it all, or anything. Don't. Just keep it small, keep it fun, and then it's sustainable. So then it's a case of, just like anyone going on a diet, you sort of do this great, you've got that enthusiasm, but by keeping it small and fun, then what you do is you can keep the sustainability. You can keep doing it and keep carrying on doing it, and you get enjoyment, and it just builds up. You can always add more if you want to, but start small and keep it fun. And then the third one, which is what I try and do with my account and what you're doing now with these podcast sessions, and what you're trying to do with your whole flip-flop sort of project, is you've got to spread the word. Have conversations with people, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to be this sort of eco warrior. Just have a friendly conversation with someone, and then it will stick in their mind. When someone says, when I'm running past, and you'll get this as well, sort of someone says something to you, thank them for, if they see you picking up litter, if they say thank you for doing this project with the flip-flops, whatever they do, if they thank you, then thank them back, because then it stays in their mind, and it means that they go away, they've had a conversation with you, it goes away, and that ripples through. They'll have a conversation with someone else. I think those are my 3. So fun, small, and social.
Those are really important, I think, because quite often there's this almost this stigma of people when, if you're not being sustainable, if you're not doing this and you're not doing that, then there's a lot of bashing on people who just end up not knowing what to do or where to go. And it becomes this huge challenge to be sustainable when in fact you're completely right. It's really just about that first step, keeping it small and fun, and engaging other people around, because once you've taken that first step, it becomes easier to take the next step, and then the next step, and so on, and just kind of build something from there.
I can't pick up every piece of litter in the world, but together we can. So it has to have a community to do it. So that is the most important thing.
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned COVID earlier, so I wanted to ask you, after all this time that we've been at home mostly, what would be your main lesson, like your main take-home message from this whole period we've spent on lockdown?
If I may, I'll give 2 things. One's a positive and one's a negative. So the positive is, I live quite close to some forest areas, some green area, and just seeing that coming to life. I also live very close to an airport, so I've got a constant flight of airplanes overhead. That's all gone, and just seeing the wildlife and nature come alive by people not driving through, that kind of thing, and you see it well documented on the websites and things on BBC and all the other news sites. I find really seeing that is amazing. So that has been a real positive for me, is seeing that and giving the world a chance to breathe. On the negative side, and this comes as a plogger, is the fact that, and this relates to other people. So I'm a plogger, I run, but then you've got litter pickers who just walk, and you've got beach cleaners, all of these people. they tend to have a responsibility. So you see a lot of them on social media have stopped during COVID, and they've done that out of social responsibility. But what's not stopped are the people littering. So, and that has been a bit of an eye opener, is the fact that, oh, hang on, I'm still seeing litter falling on the ground. Yes, there's less because there's less people outside, but if someone goes outside, there's still people dropping litter, but there's all the people that were picking it up before, they've stopped for a while. So that has been a real eye opener for me.
Yeah, I think that's really something really important to keep in mind, is that even though we've been locked at home, most of us, the vast majority of us hasn't stopped consuming. We're still, we're still turning the lights on, we're still using the Wi-Fi, we're still eating all of our food and dumping whatever we dump. And that's given a bit of, the fact that we're not outside, as you mentioned, gave a bit of breathing space and dropped carbon emissions. But especially when you look at waste, that just hasn't changed. And
people are using it as an excuse, aren't they? They're using it as an excuse to consume more plastic, to wrap things in plastic. Or they've got a tissue and they think, oh, it might be infected, I'll throw it on the ground. Oh, I've got a mask, I'll throw it on the ground. So there are different types of trash that's going on the ground, as well as people, unfortunately, using it as an excuse to not take it home with them.
Yeah, I agree. It also came to me a bit of a shock how much more almost there is on the floor. And we talk about this a lot, and we see it on the news, and there's, as you mentioned, the 5P, then the plastic ban, and all of these things happening, but we're still not there yet. There's still a long way to go before people are really fully aware of the impacts that they're having with their daily choices.
And now we're coming out of lockdown. A lot of countries are coming out of lockdown. Over here, I'm in the Netherlands, so we're now out of lockdown period. People are sort of doing more parties outside. I'm actually finding the trash is actually increasing even more now. I'm finding sort of clusters of drinks, of the signs where you've seen there's been a party or a bit of a sort of get together, and people have just left it there or completely overfilled a bin, and it just blows away. So yeah.
I mean, I think one thing I saw in the UK here is pubs starting doing takeaway drinks. So obviously when you get a takeaway drink, you get this big plastic cup that you haven't seen in pubs for so long because everyone's got a glass drink. And I think, it's okay for us to have been using a bit more plastic because we do have to keep safe. And that is the number one priority, is to make sure we save lives. But at the same time, it's important to remember this responsibility we have to the environment and to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying at all, safety is the number one priority, but we have to keep our social responsibility there as well.
Yeah, totally. And on that note, if you were, say, when all is said and done, at the end of, you're coming to the end of your life, what is the
I'm not that old.
Impact? No. That's not what I meant. I meant, imagine you're coming there and you're looking back on your life. What would you want to be the big impact you left on the world?
One of the problems that we've got with these conversations are so important that we're having. We haven't met before. We're having these great conversations. The trouble is, we're both disciples. We know. So and that's one of the issues I've got. I've got to try and find a way of getting my audience to be not the people who care, but the people who don't care. So I'm going to keep it really simple. What I would like to leave is that there's one person that stops dropping litter. That's all I want. Just one person, so that used to drop litter, that comes up to me one day and just as I'm doing my last breath and says, because of you, I actually didn't drop some litter. That, for me, that's all I want.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's really,
it's not world shattering, but there's a change there to someone.
Yeah, I mean, and what you just mentioned points to a big issue that's really important, is kind of the echo chamber effect, where a lot of people like you and me, or even people who are seen as the leaders of sustainability and world change and systemic change, be it in fashion or food or whatever, we're all talking to each other and making great pledges and commitments, but not actually reaching out to these people who right now have bigger priorities. Because I don't think people don't care about the environment. It's most people might have other priorities in their life. There's a lot of stuff happening in all of our lives. Sometimes we struggle for money, sometimes we struggle with friends or family, and it's not always easy to keep the environment in mind. But it's to these people, as you mentioned, that we need to start reaching out if this is going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I sort of try and do that. And your shoes are just awesome because they've got all that color. I love all the color on the things. That just makes them so cool for me. But it's sort of that engagement with, I try and have humor in my. I don't want it to be an Instagram account of negativity. So I try and keep positive, so I can sort of maybe get people in that will come in and someone says, "Oh, look, he posted something funny," or I try and make funny. So I sort of try and do something fun, so it keeps engagement. So I've got more chance to get those people in.
Yeah, that's really cool. How long have you been going with your Instagram? Like, what's the, say I don't know anything about it and I land onto it. What's drawing me to it? Why do you want people to come and have a look?
Apart from these devilishly good looks, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just about picking up trash. So the account started in 2017, I think, and that's when I did a big reset. What I was doing is I was looking at life, and if someone came up to me and said, "Are you happy?" It was as simple as that. Just a question of, "Are you happy?" I would have said, "Yeah, I'm happy." But then if someone had said, "Are you happier now than you were a while ago?" I would have said, "Oh, hang on, no, I'm not." And I could see that there was a steady decline in my happiness. And so what I did was I did a big reset in 2017 and sort of plucked all of the elements that I used to be really proud of. It used to give me a lot of joy. For instance, when I was 18, I was so ecologically aware, and then that just disappeared throughout my sort of maturing years, and it just sort of left. So I sort of did a reset. I went back to that time when I was an 18-year-old, when I was vegetarian, and so I switched to being vegetarian. I'm now vegan. So I went from that. So I picked that out, and I picked the running out. I was like doing other things. I went, no, running's my love. So if you go to my account, I forgot what the question was now. Was it? Yeah. So my account is more about, it's actually called Way of Life. It's my way of life, and sort of the elements in there that are important to me. I am not an eco warrior. I am not a good person on the whole. I suspect. I've got so many bad points in my life, but there are some things I'm really proud of, and those things I try and sort of push through with a level of positivity on my account. So go to my account if you want to have a bit of fun, learn how to plog if you want some advice on sort of tips and tricks on plogging, and then just see how it, check it out and see if you like it.
No, of course, that's it's really great. It's a really cool account. So that's Way on Instagram. The handle is @Wayoflife with an E. After Way.
My surname's Way, as in sort of like WAYE of life.
Yeah.
So
make sure if you look for it, you don't forget to put the E in there so that you can land onto it.
Exactly. Otherwise, you get some other weird way of life going on.
Cool. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Some sort of content, either a film, a book, or YouTube channel, or something that you really like, that's makes a big difference for you, or that you really enjoyed and you'd like to share with our audience?
There is one thing I'm really proud of that it's a bit of a plug, but okay. I don't get paid by them or anything like that, but I do have their bottle here. So one of the things I'm really proud of is I just did a recent collab with Dopper. I don't know if you know Dopper. You might have seen they've got these weird shaped bottles.
Yes, reusable bottles, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically a reusable bottle, and what they're trying to do is get people to sign a simple pledge to say, I won't use a single-use water bottle. So as simple as that. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this and do that and do that. It just says, if I can, I'm going to use tap water. If I can, I'm going to take a reusable bottle with me, because and I really notice that when I'm running, just I pick up a single-use water bottle. I think if someone had a reusable water bottle, then they wouldn't have let that fall on the ground. Yeah. So, and a lot of the times those water bottles are full. People are throwing away full water bottles because they're just so disposable. So, so in terms of that, I'd say check out. It's not meant to be a plug, but dopper.com, because if you go there, you can actually see a really cool film they did of me, and it explains a little bit more about what I do. So, so if you hunt there, then you'll be able to see a really cool film. It's cool not because it's got me in there, but they filmed it really well. I felt like I was a movie star. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a really cool website. I went to check it. It's worth having a look through and getting a sense of what they're up to.
Be prepared, you might see this face though on one of the pages, which is a bit of a shock.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for coming on, for answering all of my questions and spending some time with us. I'm sure our listeners will have found it really cool as well, and they know where to find you on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Way of Life.
Way of Life, exactly, with an E. Make sure you all go check him out and give him a follow. And thanks again, Paul. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and good luck with the sandals. Like I say, they look so cool, and yeah, it's such a fantastic idea. It really draws attention to the fact that, okay, not only these aren't sandals that are good for you. It really brings it out that these are made from old pieces of plastic, from old EVA and things like that. So I think that's fantastic. Great idea.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Paul. Thank you,
Cool.
everyone. Thanks for coming in.